Good morning, and thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup. I'm Neeraj Shah, and not a bad day for the US markets, you have to say. I mean, it was while on Friday there were chip stocks which are leading the US markets higher, and otherwise, yesterday's session too had a lot of positives because all the three indices were in the green. So the US markets did okay. The other cues were, again, much like yesterday, steady as she goes. I don't think there's too much of a deviation in most of the parameters. Look at that. VIX flat, dollar index sub 100, 10-year yield between 3.7 to 3.9. So no great changes there. The gift Nifty should be indicating a flat start, maybe marginally lower as well, possible, because the US futures are trading in the red as we speak. So the gift Nifty, a cut of 0.05, which is a flattish move. Now, the key news flow around the world, the US stock futures have inched lower ahead of a busy earnings day today. For the US, today is a very busy earnings day and earnings week. Other news, wheat prices have surged after Russia axed the Ukraine grain deal. Sugar has fallen on improved outlook for supplies from India and Brazil in particular is ramping up the sugar supply. And in other news, while we've seen something happening with France, with UAE as well, now there is apparently a conversation between India and Indonesia to plan a local currency trade as well as payment links. So, well, lots happening on that front. Excuse me. So what's the trade setup therefore for the day? I mean, frankly, difficult to pull out what sectors are seeing traction on a daily basis. But if you just look at what the bank Nifty did yesterday, it found comfort with HDFC Bank results, and charts believe that there is some more upsides there for individual stocks and maybe for the bank Nifty as well. Now, remember yesterday we were talking about that while the bank Nifty thus far has not done anything, it may find comfort with uh, larger banks coming out with good results. Now, we also have IndusInd Bank in today's session, and there are some other PSU banks lined up. But this week is about HDFC and IndusInd, and then the weeks to come, we'll have some of the others too. So, if indeed those results look okay, then the Bank Nifty, which thus far has not participated, may find the reason to participate and live up to these upsides that people are expecting it to. IT took a bit of a backseat yesterday, but I believe there is a bit of a rotation at play here. Laggard IT stocks look like picking up the baton. There is talk. I mean, when you look at what some of the brokerage houses, chartists are saying, there is conversation of a Wipro, there's conversation of a Zensa, there's conversation of some others as well. And the ones which have participated might just take a bit of a back seat, is what experts are saying. But we may well have Infosys being active today. So there's a bit of a rotation at play in IT majors. It was not as active yesterday after a fairly good move on Monday. And let's see if there is more in store in the session today for the IT majors, or do they have a quiet day after the kind of song and dance that they've seen in Friday's session? So that is to be watched out for as well. Well, the other thing to keep in mind is the fact that the flows seem to be very, very constructive. Um, Indian stocks, apparent as per a Bloomberg story, get $3 of ETF flows for each dollar chasing China, and that is the bulwark really. But keep in mind, yesterday was a weak flows day. Um, most uh, the lowest day in 4 months as far as flows go. Okay, excuse me for the light, but let's get in some price and volume buzzers as well before we move on to what results are lined up today and what could happen in the period in terms of stocks in news as well. So these are a few things to keep in mind. Um, we all know why Root corrected because of the deal that the promoters did with one more company, but SW Solar, Latent View, Venki's, some very strong price and volume action seen in trade yesterday. It's a busy day for earnings as well, as most people would have noticed. There is IndusInd Bank, ICICI Prudential Life, ICICI Lombard. Amongst the larger names, there is also Polycab and LTTS. But watch out for CI Automotive. It is starting to deliver some good numbers now that and it's no longer an M&M company. So that's the key part. The other part is Ganesh Housing, which is guided very strongly in the last quarterly conversations with us as well. Let's see if they live up to the billing in this quarter. Now, stocks to watch. Like I said, Infosys will be in focus today. They've entered into a pact with one of its existing clients to provide AI and automation-led development, modernization, and maintenance services. The total client target spend estimated at $2 billion over 5 years. Now, viewers, 1422, is the price currently. Infosys, it's gained a little bit in the recent past. The only caveat wherein at least I don't have clarity, and I don't think too many people would be able to unless Infosys speaks, is that whether this 2 billion is the additional spend on AI related new things over 5 years, or is it the total target spend at 2 billion and this new pact forms a part of it. I don't have clarity. I would suspect that it is new client spend, new client target spend, but don't quite know that as yet. Something tells me that the wording of total client target spend means that uh, there was some bit of spending. Now there is this to provide AI and automation-led development as well, which in total ends up to about $5 billion. So watch out for Infosys today. Then Z Entertainment, which gained quite a bit in trade. Yesterday, the board has formed a panel to run operations, sans the CEO, because of the SEBI decisions, of course. And this could actually, this was on expected lines, but this could maybe keep the stock in good shape. Remember, it's not a very expensive stock, and therefore, no reason why the stock will not do well. So do watch out for Infosys as well in the session, Z Entertainment 2 in the session today. That's the other stock on the radar. There is merit in watching out for LTI Mindtree and Tata Elxsi. Now, LTI Mindtree, it's an index name now, and revenues at 8702 crores. The estimates for 8775. You could argue on that base largely in line. EBIT margin slightly better than estimated actually, but the net profit at 1151 much lower than 1194. Again, on that base, you would argue that it's not exactly lower than estimates, but a touch lower, if you will. But brokerages have a mixed view. Nomura, on its part, has a reduced rating. The target price has been cut to 3940. Is that the Q1 missed expectations on growth and margins. Double-digit growth in FY24 is unlikely given sluggishness in the execution. The margin recovers in FY24. Improvement in FY24 is likely to be driven by utilization. They've lowered the FY24 and 25 EPS by 2%. So maybe a flat start to LTI Mindtree, but maybe no such luck for Tata Elxsi, which again the numbers were a bit iffy. So revenues at 850, estimates were 878, which is maybe out there. But EBIT margin 29.5, better than estimated. Net profit, however, 189 versus estimates of 203, certainly lower than estimated. And Morgan Stanley puts it into perspective. They have an underweight with a target price of 5,700. JP Morgan is even lower, of course, but they are anyways low on this sector, IT and ERD. So Morgan Stanley says that the management provided a mixed commentary on near-term demand outlook with positive trends in healthcare, weakness in media, and hope around transportation growth returning. Margins were resilient, but higher tax rate leads to a cut in estimates. And the YTD rally makes the risk reward unfavorable, is what Morgan Stanley is saying. And TANFAC is the other one. The revenues were up 27%, EBITDA 75%, EBITDA margin at 25% versus 18%, and net profit at 2x, up 2x at about 18.39 crores. So the net profit number was very, very strong, and that should be construed as a positive for TANFAC. Sheela Foam, they'll acquire 94.66% stake in Kurlon Enterprises for 2150 crores. They'll pick up 35% stake in House of Khairaya owned Furlenco for 300 crore rupees. That's a large acquisition for a company of Sheela Foam size. I mean, two acquisitions, but combining to nearly 2,500 crores. That's very large. We, of course, placed a request with the management to talk to them and try and see what they have to say. Let's see what the management has to say about the rationale behind this. How do they arrange for the funding for the same as well? They are, of course, the market leaders in this segment, but it'll be interesting to understand the way ahead for Sheela Foam. JK Tires, it is said that the Uttarakhand plant operations have been disrupted on heavy rain. So that's to be watched out for. ITI, apparently Chandrayaan 3 had on board 55 packages manufactured by ITI. So that could be construed as a positive. Just before we wrap up, just trying to see if I'm missing anything in terms of news flow or brokerages, as the case may be. Yeah, most brokerages are constructive on HDFC Bank, so that's to be watched out for. City is a buy, target price 2200, JPM target price 2000, HSBC target price raised to 2010, Morgan Stanley target price 2100. So keep a keen eye out for that. And Yep, I mean, I guess that's about it. Thanks so much for tuning in today, viewers. We have a clutch of conversations lined up. 10 a.m. Abhay Agarwal on Talking Point. Temasek is the big one. They came out with a review, of course, on the India investments, but these two guys head investments for Temasek across private and public markets, and they'll be talking about their India view at 1 p.m. today on BQ Prime. So that's the really big interview. We'll play out the India opportunity conversation, capitalizing on the capex cycle. It's Ajit Mangat in conversation with Madhusudan Kela and Sanjeev Sharma. So that's the other big one. And like I said, Talking Point at 10 a.m. with Abhay Agarwal. Do try and tune in for that. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup today.